Welcome to the third semi-annual State of the Channel address. The first time I did this, I don't know what time it is for you guys. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. In case I don't see it, you get it. So this is the third State of the Channel address. The first couple of times that I did this, the first time I did it was just a simple video, updated people briefly on what was happening and what I look forward to and stuff. It wasn't very in-depth. It was pretty new to gaming on YouTube then, so I didn't really know exactly what was going on. I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, but I like to do these things because I want to be transparent and open with people as time goes on. And I also want to give what I consider to be the core audience a chance to interact and affect the content that's coming into the channel and stuff. So it's pretty good. The second time I did this, it was a written update that was early this year, which I posted a short video. It was about 2 minutes long, basically telling people to go and read that. It was a bit more descriptive than last time, but it wasn't really adequate as I feel a channel update should be. The type of people that are watching this video right now, both in the live chat, I see you guys, both in the live chat as well as on demand, the type of people that are watching this type of video are what I consider to be my core audience. You guys are the real fans of the channel, I would think. You guys are the type of people that want to know what's happening with the channel overall and not just one particular video or one particular series. And you guys are the types of people that are following the channel mostly because you like what I do and you think it's okay and that you think it's great. And that's what I'm hoping for. So those are the kinds of people that I'm addressing. So you guys are the people that I want to bring a smile to every day. If I can get my voice to stay with me long enough. I've been talking a lot this week already. And with the right effort and some luck, hopefully I'll be doing that for a long years to come. So today's update is more extensive than the last two. And it's also more in-depth than the previous ones because I'll be going into pretty much everything that's happening. Pretty much it's everything that's happened in the last 6 months and what I hope for the future. And as this is live, please excuse any hiccups or stumbles or lack of voice that might happen. I have a written script that I'll be pretty much following today, but it's still live, right? Things can happen. At the end of the stream, I'm going to be going through the comment section, so feel free to leave the comments if you want. I'm not going to be addressing your comments just yet. But at the end of the stream, I'm going to go through comments and answer any questions you might have as well. The stream will last as long as questions continue to last, or the stream will last as long as people still are curious about certain things. So a lot of cover. Let's get into it. I was going to go into statistics about the channel. I was going to go into like certain things and health-wise and how the channel is doing that way. But honestly, I think that stuff is not really necessarily the most interesting stuff that you guys want to hear about. I just don't think it is. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview, just really quick numbers, and then we'll keep going with other stuff. So subscriber counts in 2017 so far, as of the first of the year all the way to now, the channel has gained about 2,000 subs. Now this might sound to some of you like that's a lot. Might sound like to some of you like this is that's pretty good growth. But actually it's about 70% of where I wanted to be at this time of the year. Which means I need to either accelerate uploads for the second half of the year, or it means that I need new content that attracts more people to the channel. I think it's probably a mixture of the two. I think it's probably a little bit of both. Despite, for like the last 2 months, for example, I haven't really uploaded a whole lot because I've been busy with work. And yet, despite that upload schedule slowing down in the last 2 months, daily video views have actually flatlined. They haven't really dropped all that much. Daily video views are still fairly high. And a lot of that has to do with some new interest in the Prison Architect series. Like, I don't know if it got shared somewhere or the right person found it or what, but there's been a fairly healthy amount of people still watching the Prison Architect series and discovering it new and watching it all the way through, and that's really great. That was kind of what I was hoping for. When I deviated from KSP initially, I was hoping for a more expansive audience. I was hoping to have a channel that's not dependent on a single title. I was hoping for a diversity in audience, and I'm really glad that a significant portion of people following me today have been able to find me through things other than KSP. It's really cool. So welcome. If you're one of those people, welcome. Average watch time is actually flatlined as well. And I think a lot of that has to do with live streams. I think that live streaming is actually keeping that up a little bit. But the thing is about watch time, and I'm comparing it between its flatline as of the start of this year to now. And we had a little bit of a spike in watch time. It was up to almost 15 minutes average when Long War 2 was released, when it started, when Long War 2 initially started. There was the camera autofocus. Yeah, the camera's kind of doing weird things. It does that. I'm sorry. Anyway, so we had a bit of a flat line. We had a bit of a spike, when Long War 2 launched, and that's because Long War 2 was pretty good. Is the autofocus a problem? Let me get that fixed. Let me see if I can figure out how to get that fixed. Configure video. Autofocus, no. Save. Okay, maybe it'll stop now. I'm hoping that it'll stop now, because I turned it off, so hopefully it does. So anyway, this is gonna take a while to explain things around Long War 2 and how that's gonna happen. A significant portion of my stream today is gonna be kind of dedicated to stuff like around that series a little bit, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit. Just know watch time is not really all that much affected. I want to dig a little bit into growth here a little bit. And I want to talk about some of the things that I'm doing to work on growth for the channel. One big factor in a channel's growth, in the channel's growth this year, and I believe it's a big part of the channel today and will continue to be a big factor in the channel in the future, is live streaming, like I'm doing right now. 2017 is a year with a lot of live streaming, with efforts made into Twitch as well as YouTube, and semi-regularly streaming schedule with the brand new computer card game Gwent, which I just finished doing a quick stream on just before I started this one. I firmly believe that Gwent is going to replace Hearthstone at the top of the card game universe for competitive play over the next couple of years. And I'm really striving to be great at it and to be competitive at it if I can. And I think that'll be a much bigger challenge for me because I'm mostly a free-to-play player. So it's probably going to be hard to do, but I'm going to just give it my all, give it my shot. Speaking of live streaming and Twitch, I recently was invited to take part in the Gamers for Orcas charity event, where myself and a bunch of other streamers played games to raise money for whale and dolphin conservation. Yep, my voice is going to go. My block of time was from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday morning. That was the past Saturday morning. And the stream was broadcasted on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. And for about 2 hours, my face and my Twitch channel was featured on the homepage of twitch.tv. It was really awesome to see well over 1,000 people watching my live stream at a time, like concurrent. Peak concurrent viewers exceeded 1,300, and the average concurrent viewers throughout the whole 3-hour span of time, the average was just under 1,000 at 952 viewers, which was pretty nice. I really liked that, man. It was awesome. In total, over 90,000 people saw my live stream segment live. And WDC raised over $45,000 at that time from the live stream event as well as the Humble Bundle. So it was really super cool to be a part of that. It was really, I don't want to say humbling, but it was really humbling to be part of that. And what made that even more impressive to me is that more than 1,000 people were watching at any given time throughout most of the entire 3-hour span of time, which was way off peak hours. And it was me who only had 51 followers, 50 followers on Twitch. So I was basically a nobody who was able to get a whole bunch of people watching him play games that are not even big name games in a charity stream. And it was because of WDC. It was because of Humble Bundle and their invitation to help to have me take part in it. It was because of WDC's Gamers for Orcas, who worked with Twitch to put the stream on the front page, and it just happened to go on the front page during my segment instead of anyone else's. So that was really great. I was really appreciative of that. Live streaming is definitely a new favorite of mine, and I wish to do more of it. I'll be talking a little bit more about plans I have in the future, later on in the update here or later on in the stream. I have some things in the works for the Hot Tips YouTube channel as well as my Twitch, and I welcome your feedback on everything I discuss here today. So, the growth and health of any organization, or in this case a channel, is the support behind it. Over the last year, I've received much more than expected support on Patreon. as well as support from some key individuals on Discord, as well as some partnerships with third parties such as Humble and Kingwin. These avenues for support have led the channel to being financially in a decent shape to continue, although still far too little for any sort of full-time engagement from me to be plausible in the short term. Despite the amazing support, though, I personally believe I've failed in my obligations to present more content as a result of that support. In fact, updates to this channel have slowed 70% from last month due to my work schedule. And I'm sorry for that. That's a bad thing. That's my bad, you know? That being the case, I would like to extend to all patrons of this channel, not only my apologies, but also offer you to refund last month's pledges. So if you would like a refund, if you want, I want you to know that I care very much about that support, and I don't want to take it for granted. And I don't want to take that support and not give you what you expect in return, right? So if you would like a refund, please get in touch with me via Discord or email, and we'll get you sorted out. No hard feelings, no questions, no nothing. This is my offer to you. If you don't feel as though I have produced the content that you would expect with this support, please get in touch with me. And I haven't done anything with those pledges for June. I can refund every single one of you if you want it today. So I'm getting that out of the way right now. So anyway, any strategy to support something that you care about has to have diversity. I know there are a lot of people who watch this channel for only one series. There are some people who even were patrons. I say were because they're not anymore, but there are some people who were patrons for only one series. And when that one series doesn't get updated as fast as they like, they drop. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine, actually. It's actually something that I would expect from human behavior. Your support in certain ways is... Your support in certain ways is a good way of telling me what you want, and it's a good way of telling me how I'm doing, right? So I can understand that. But the strategy, I believe, for this channel as far as the long term has to have diversity. I cannot depend on the same things all the time. I don't want to be the one-trick pony, right? I don't want to be the channel that only plays one game. You know, you have some channels who do really well with XCOM 2, for example, because that's all they do. You have some channels that do really well with KSP because that's all they do. For a while in the beginning, my channel was all KSP. Everyone was here for Kerbal Space Program. When I ventured into something else, it was still there, but like it's hard for me to capitalize on the following I've gained for other series because they're here for one series, and that's totally fine. It's completely expected. But I don't want to be that in the long term. I expect it in the short term. I don't want to be that in the long term. I know a lot of people have found the channel through other series. Some people found my channel from Outlast. There are people who tell me they found my series or my channel because of Beholder even. Like, these are the types of things. And then after they were done watching that, they decided to go and watch Prison Architect. And so, like, these are the kinds of things I'm trying to gather. I'm trying to get a diversity. But in addition to diversity in audience, I also can't just depend on the same source for revenue and income anyway. And that's especially true for a platform like YouTube, which has massive fluctuations in advertising revenue for almost every channel on YouTube. That's especially true for, like, recently. Like, even though the vast majority of my content is considered family friendly, and it's that way intentionally, because as a filmmaker and as a person who studied filmmaking in college, I know intimately the difference in exposure a PG-13 film gets over an R-rated one. There is still big hits, despite that family friendliness. There's still big hits due to some really large super advertisers that were on network-wide pulling out altogether. And thus, I need to find ways to push the limits of what I can afford to dedicate to the channel on a weekly basis. And with that, I've partnered with Humble. So any links that you see to Humble bundles from me, whether it's in the description of every video, in the video cards, or on the Discord, in the self-promotions channel or whatever, or from my Twitter at Hot Tips Media, know that clicking those links and purchasing those bundles gives you the chance to directly support Hot Tips as well as a charity of your choice. Humble has already been a great thing for me. It's offered me opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise, including the Gamers for Orca stream that I discussed earlier. So it's really great. So, I think the next thing I want to discuss is as far as with the live audience. And again, I'm going to facilitate the chat. I'm going to interact with your chat near the end of the stream. I'll be answering questions at the end. So I'm keeping a small eye on the chat, but I'm not paying super attention to it. Elias, you don't think anyone's going to take me up on that? Well, if they don't, they don't. But it's there if you want to be taken up on it. What I want to talk about now, I think, is, especially with you guys on demand as well. If you're watching this on demand and you're not watching this live, don't feel like I'm leaving you out. I'm going to look at the comments underneath the video when it's published as well. But one thing I really want to talk about is priorities and about sticking to an overall goal in order to meet an overarching objective, right? This is something that I try to do very hard in my professional life, and I have admittedly failed to do that with my YouTube channel efforts. It's incredibly easy to get into something, but it's very difficult to get out of that something once you're sucked into it. And sometimes it takes stepping back and looking at things fresh after a break to see the reality of anything. I do this with my own projects all the time, film projects especially. You get really into it, you get really involved in the edit, and then you just take a break. You go away for 48 hours, you come back and look at it later, and you see all these little things that annoy you. You see all these little things. Why did I do that? And you can correct it, and you can look at it with a fresh eye. And I think everything needs to have that happen. Whether it's a project for work or a gaming series on YouTube, everything needs to serve the goal. Sometimes the reality of a project changes as a result of that break, which I'm going to get into regarding XCOM in a little bit. But this can really affect goals, I think. And so, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, if you're confused at what I'm talking about, what is this goal you're talking about? Well, for sure, the reason I do this channel is because it's incredibly fun and enjoyable. It's because I think I'm pretty good at it. I don't know, maybe I'm a little outside my humble bubble here, but I think I'm pretty good at it. I think I offer content, maybe questionable creativity and visuals for sure that meet or exceed the content that others can produce. And I want to do things that are different from other people. Things that differentiate what I'm doing from the other guy in the other channel and what they're doing, right? That was my mission with Conquering Kerbal Space Program. It was my mission with Prison Architect. And it's been my mission from the beginning with every series as I've decided to start. Now, that's not to say that I cannot do anything that's the same as anyone else. Now, obviously, anytime I play an RPG, for example, such as Mass Effect, or a game that's aged like Outlast, there are bound to be a lot of similarities in the experiences that other channels have as well, because they're linear, right? However, I've tried to do something different and unique with even RPGs as a genre, for example, like Skyrim. When I attempted to do a Democracy series late last year and early this year, which was an RPG series, right? It had live viewers, and the live viewers had input and decision-making responsibilities over various aspects of the character development and story. In essence, I was making the role-playing experience part on the viewers and not me. And I thought that would drive engagement. I thought that was going to really, make them in there, and get them in. I thought the series was really fun. I thought it had a very high production value. But in the end, it wasn't popular. It wasn't popular at all. It didn't meet what I call the minimum viability for a project to continue. I do this with work all the time too. Like most series on YouTube, even with large channels, game series begin with a lot of energy. The first episode, the second one, a lot of energy in those two new things. But then they die over time. As the game goes on, it's something difficult, right? It's difficult to retain users. It's difficult to retain people on a series. And it's sometimes difficult to tell why that has to happen. Sometimes it's really hard to read why that's the case. And something changed with one series in particular. I have some changes with Mass Effect as well, but one series in particular is my Long War II series. It's not really difficult for me to tell what happened with Long War II. There's a lot of problems with Long War II series, from a fundamental level, from an entertainment value level, from a gameplay perspective level as well. There's a lot of problems with it. It's plain as day to me, so let's talk about it for a bit. When the series started, and through the first month or two, everything was decent. It definitely wasn't the most popular thing on the channel, There were a lot of channels playing it when I started as well. So there was there's competition, right? There's other people playing it because it had just come out, and I couldn't play it right away because I was overseas when it was released. So I needed to wait until about a week after its release when I got back from Asia to start playing it. And after the first few months, views for the series began to drop. They dropped about 60%. Average first day views for XCOM 2 was between 120 and 150. During the first beginning months, the first 2 months. First day views is what I value as far as a creative perspective, to know how well a series is doing, to know how many people have caught up, to know how many people are interested in it. First day views are critical to me understanding who's interested and who's not. And during the first few months, 120 to 150 people would see it on the first day. And that was decent, right? Subsequent months, a month after that, we'd have between 80 and 100 people. And this is low for any bigger channel. This is low, but it's actually not out of my expectations for a new series on a relatively new channel. I mean, I had a relatively new channel at the time. I still do. And it was a new series. It was a new genre even. I had never even done anything like this game. And I brought it out and said, let's play this because I want to. And it was something that was competitive. It was something competitive as in other channels are doing it. And it was also something that I was not the best at, right? So how would I differentiate myself in that series compared to other people playing it? Well, my idea for that was to incorporate you guys in the series, right? To have your soldier names as my soldiers. Now, this is not different than some other channels are doing. I know YouTubers such as Christopher Odd, for example, who plays XCOM very well. He incorporates his viewers into his XCOM series all the time. But I thought it would be different, had to differentiate myself with it because it was my viewers and it was people who wanted to see my content, and now they have their names in the game. That would cause, my idea was that would cause those people to somewhat be invested in the title, somewhat be invested in the game, and want to come back and interact with it over and over again. And I was right. It's exactly what it did. The people who had their names in the game were infinitely more likely to watch it and engage with it and comment on it and like it, and even in a few cases, even share it, right? That worked. But it's a relatively small scale how it worked. Then I have a break in my content. Because of my work schedule, I've had breaks in my content that lasted too long. There's too big of gaps. There was a period of time where I had so many XCOM episodes saved up. This was right before I started Mass Effect Andromeda. I had so many XCOM episodes saved up that I could release an XCOM episode almost daily. At that point, it worked. People were following it because it was regular. It was updated frequently. They could follow it. But with my work schedule combined with me starting yet another series, and we'll get into that in a second too, it wasn't able to sustain that release pattern, and people start to go away. Today, first day views for an XCOM episode is about 25. Even to this day, nearly 2 weeks after its publication, the latest episode of XCOM 2 has not hit 70. So 2 weeks after its release, it still has not hit where it would normally be the very first day. It has not hit half of where it would normally be in the very first day. So my resolution to that reality is that the time to produce that content is uneconomical. But it's not even worth that. It's not even that, right? Even if I'm really into something and I'm really interested in something, I'm going to keep playing it regardless of the economics behind it. However, there's one factor that's more important than the economics of time as it relates to the video and the views. And that is the amount of time as it relates to the amount of time total available, right? With less available time, it means that all the content I produce, or all the content that I choose to produce, occupy a marginally larger percentage of the total available time. It's just math, right? Which means that the time is more valuable. The time that I have to record is now more valuable because there's less of it, supply and demand. That means a series like XCOM 2 is taking up a larger portion of the pie while delivering significantly less than the rest. Right? Now, I'm getting more time available to me starting late this week, early next week. I'm finishing up some projects that have been taking up a lot of my time. And I'm going to have some more time to produce content. And pending any new projects hiring me in, of course, this will lead to having more releases. This will lead to having a slightly more often release schedule, right? And I'm losing my spot. Like I'm following a script, I'm following a bullet point, but I lost my spot. Anyway, so I'm getting time next week, and I think looking at this project from the outside instead of looking at it from the inside is the perspective I really needed to like I really need to look at it from the outside. Mass Effect Andromeda is only doing a little bit better. It's not doing that much better than XCOM, but it's still doing better. And the difference between XCOM and Mass Effect right now is that the Mass Effect series, so far anyway, has more engagement. When I release an episode of XCOM 2, at least the last couple of episodes, there's been no comments at all, and barely any likes, a couple of thumbs up, and that's it. To where the Mass Effect series has a bit more engagement. And so there's still something there. And to be quite frank, just to be upfront and frank about it and be totally transparent about it, I'm enjoying playing Mass Effect more than I'm playing XCOM. And we'll get into that in a little second as well. Do I want to continue XCOM? Yes, I do. I firmly do want to continue XCOM. The more important question, though, isn't about me. It's about the audience, right? It's about the viewers. It's about what my viewers want. It's about whether or not they are engaged and interested in the content being produced. And based on my analytics and the performance of the series that I'm releases, it doesn't appear to have an audience anymore. At least not on Hot Tips. Like I said, there are several people who dedicate their entire channel to that game, and those guys have the niche that takes the game further, and that's great. But I'm not convinced there's a home for XCOM 2 at Hot Tips, at least based on the series performance of what I can see in the analytics. In order to continue the project, any producer needs to always draw a line and know precisely what the minimum viability for a project is, to be able to accurately assess whether their project meets that minimum viability. And as of today, I don't think XCOM 2 does. I'm more than willing, and in fact, I'd be very happy to be proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong. I really want it to be proven wrong. So I'd like to do 3 things to test this further. And normally I wouldn't do this. Normally, if I was 10 videos in or something, I'd just end it and start something new. But because I'm 82 episodes into this, some more consideration needs to happen, especially since this series also incorporates you guys. It incorporates your names. And it's also a series in which a couple of patrons have been very vocal about me wanting to continue. So that also gets me to step back, and I have to really assess it and really be sure of what I'm doing and really know that this is the right course of action. So I'd like to do 3 things to test this, sort of like a final do or die for the opportunity for the series. So this is what's going to happen. First, I hope there is. I need to actually verify this before I say this, because I hope I put this in here, but I might not have. Let me make sure I did. I totally did not do this. Why did I not do this? Stand by while I put the straw poll links in the video description, because apparently I'm an idiot and did not put them in there like I thought I did. 1 second. Oh my god. Okay, so in the comments, in the live chat right now, there's going to be a straw poll, and I'm going to put it in the description as well. I'm going to update the description right now to incorporate that, because it's supposed to have it and it doesn't, and that's my bad. Right here, straw poll. Number 1. Straw poll number 1. And then I'm also going to put the other one. I need to go back to the Discord channel. Questions and polls. Go back up to the Discord channel. Come on now. Oh, my internet. Oh, my internet. Don't do this to me. Here we go. Copy this link. Straw poll number 2. Okay, so in the description of this video, at least it should be, if you were to refresh the stream, you should see it anyway, because it's in the description now. There are 2 straw polls. I had a straw poll made a few days earlier, which I shared on Twitter and in the Discord, but I didn't feel as though that survey was worded and constructed properly to assess the things in a more broad perspective, right? I want to assess things at an overall perspective and not at a closed-minded perspective. So I've restructured it for this stream. The restructured one is poll number 1, or straw poll number 1. And I said Ermagerd, and then the straw poll, and that's also the one that I put in the live chat. And then straw poll number 2 is the old one that I had. Feel free to engage with both of them. Like I encourage you, interact with both of those if you want to. I'm considering both of them to figure out what the sentiment is around the series that are happening. So the straw polls, that's the first thing. I want to gauge your opinions directly. The second thing I'm going to do for Long War 2 is I'm going to spend an entire day recording Long War 2. One whole day, I'm going to wake up at 8:30 in the morning. I'm going to sit down on my computer, and until 6 o'clock p.m., I'm going to play XCOM 2. I'm going to record XCOM 2. Then I'm going to do my daddy thing that I got to do, get my son all taken care of. My son goes to sleep. I come right back downstairs, and I play XCOM 2 until I go to bed. I'm going to play XCOM 2 for an entire day. Record as many episodes as I can in just one day. I'll take time off of work to do it too. And I'll produce as much as I can. Then I'm going to upload those as a regular interval, right? I'm not going to upload them all at once or anything. I'm going to give them a chance at a regular interval. Maybe it's every other day or something like that, until the supplies of videos that I was able to produce is exhausted. I'm going to observe the performance of those videos when they are released. I'll observe how those videos perform. Day 1 views, average watch time, right? That's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Engagement. That's what I'm looking for too. All the different metrics that a YouTuber can look at for a particular video, I'm going to look at those and like really study them and see how they compare to something like Andromeda, to see how they compare to something like some of my other series that I've had in the past, okay? I'm also going to be working in my brain and gauging potential, right? Because I have to also weigh opportunity cost. Is this going to be something that is viable for the future, or should I replace it with something else? Okay? That's something I'm going to be thinking about. So I'm going to produce as much as I can. I'll observe the performance based on that. If the audience is there, if it looks like it can meet minimum viability, then I'm going to continue this series to the end. No more talking about it. I'm going to do it. Okay? If it doesn't meet it, then the final video that I was able to record will have a post-commentary voiceover at the end, telling viewers that this video is the final video in the series and concluding it and why. Okay? Now, the few of you who are really into the series might find this as an opportunity to share the videos with your friends, to get them to watch the new ones. Get out there and watch it quick. And that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I encourage you to do that. However, those views are not the only metric I'm going to be looking at, because watch time is also a factor. Also, I'll be assessing engagement, viewer retention, and I'm going to be looking at the entire playlist for XCOM 2, not just the last videos. So if you're going to be sharing them with your friends and getting the numbers like that, that's great. Did your friends, are your friends interested enough in it to watch another one? Are they interested enough to watch the next one, right? That's the kind of thing. Did they go back and watch it from the beginning because they never heard of it before? That kind of thing, right? So I'm going to be looking at that to see how viable that really is. Paying more closely attention to XCOM 2 from a standpoint of metrics than any other thing that I've done. So that's what I'll do. In addition to producing the content for an entire day, there's also one other thing I'm going to do to make things more interesting, both for myself as well as viewers, is I'm going to be upping the difficulty setting. Back to Commander. We're not playing on normal anymore. We're going to play on Commander. This will provide a huge challenge for me, but it also might force my hand, and the enemy may actually crush me beyond my ability to repair the campaign anyways, in which case then it will end naturally. But either way, the goal here is to make things more interesting and assess whether it's enough so that the video series can stay here at Hot Tips. So that is the updates and the discussion with XCOM 2. Those of you who are really into the series and want it to continue, like I said, feel free to skew the results of my test as much as you wish. Anyway, so next up, Kerbal Space Program. Wow, we're only on bullet point 3. Look at that thing. There's still bullet points to go. Don't worry. That's my longest thing is with XCOM. That was my longest pass. So the rest of it is a little bit faster. So Kerbal Space Program. Let's start with Conquering Kerbal Space Program. As most of you know, this is a heavily modded series that has been started, stopped, started up again, interrupted again, started back up again, lost and backtracked and rebuilt, and then started up again. I've received numerous questions related to KSP over the last few months, now that it's back, and I wanted to take the time to address those questions here. So, yeah, firstly, and I would hope most of you know that this is obvious, but I'm actually receiving it often enough to where, as far as the question goes, I'm actually, I have getting this question, and I'm trying to read the comments at the same time. Bad idea. I told myself I would address the comments at the end. Most of you know this already, so it's probably obvious, but I'm receiving the question often enough to where I need to address it. The series will not be going to KSP 1.3. Just putting that out there right now. Like, definitely will not migrate Conquering Kerbal Space Program to KSP 1.3. Will not happen. I have no interest in dealing with mods all over again, and now that I have something that's stable, I'm going to keep what I have, regardless of new features. I'm not even updating the mods. It's simply not worth it. It's going to stay exactly the way it is, and I'm not touching it, all right? Secondly, KSP episodes are slow. I know this. I'm not oblivious to how infrequent the uploads for that series are. Part of this is because of work. Man, at lunch, man. Part of this is because of work. Actually, most of it is because of work. It's affected every series on the channel aside from live streaming, which has actually gone up. But I think in large part due to having an office downstairs and having some time during the night to do it, that's why that part's gone up. But as far as the VODs and my work schedule, I think part of it is also due to being spread so thin with other series, right? The biggest mistake I've made in the last year is taking on too many things at once. Even channels that do gaming on a full-time schedule rarely do 4 titles at once. I think Quill does it. That's the only one I can think of that actually is so bold as to do 4 things at once. Most of them are limited to 3, and the vast majority just do 2. But a lot of them do 3. Fine. But I can't. I don't have the financial stability within this platform to do that many at once. I've learned a lot in the last year. A lot in the last year. And going forward, I'm going to be using what I've learned to improve the experiences of everything I do on a weekly basis. One of those many adjustments I'm going to make are the number of projects I'm working on at any given time. So going back to the conversation we had with XCOM and how the value of time I have, the value of the time I have goes up, the less total time there is available. Other series take up a larger percentage of available time. So I have 2 options here. Either do nothing except the other series, so I can wrap them up and then get back to KSP, or I try to balance it all and make sure there's some progress and everything as time goes on. I cannot do the first option. I cannot bring myself to do that. I simply won't do it. And the second option leads to a situation we have now where the uploads are slow and there's too much time between them. Most of the audience who follows KSP has expressed that they're completely fine with waiting, that they have patience, and that at least the people who have expressed it that way. And I really appreciate that patience. I really do. You have no idea how comforting it is to know that those patient people are out there. Because a lot of people on YouTube, you have such a short attention span and you just go away. And that's what happened with XCOM, right? Short attention span. Hey, I can get this content somewhere else. I'm going to go watch that guy instead. I don't need to watch this one anymore. And that's fine. I'm going to get off XCOM now. But Conquering KSP is unique, right? Conquering KSP, I've done something to differentiate myself from what everyone else is doing. And so that's why people keep coming back anyway, despite the long periods of time, because it's still different. Because they can go off and get KSP somewhere else, but they can't quite get the exact same mission parameters. They can't quite get the same feel, the same experience, as they can when they watch it for my channel. And that's what I was looking for. That's what I'm looking for with everything I try. So I don't really think I'm going to do either one of those choices other than balance. And I also have live streams, right? And I actually consider live streams to be separate from my video on demand stuff. I'll speak more regarding that topic near the end of the stream, but for now, just know that I'll be making adjustments to how I do things so that I can have changes made to how often I can get things moving forward. Okay? Last thing I want to mention regarding KSP has to do with the satellite network around Sarnas mission, which is an incomplete mission that's been executed so far in live streams. I'm working on fixing one more problem I'm having with stuff and with crafts and stuff. And we'll have another live stream hopefully scheduled next week where we can complete the mission. Same thing is true, by the way, for the Prison Architect Maze Prison. Got a lot of things to add to the maze to make it more complicated, make it more interesting, and I'm hoping to have a live stream to complete that as well. And the file and the workshop, it'll be shared to the workshop, and then that file and stuff will be linked in the description of that stream when it happens, okay? If there is by chance anyone who is interested in my WordPress Wednesdays, by any chance, I have a really quick update for you. And the redesigning of my website isn't really something that's very popular with my audience. Understandable. My core audience has changed to gaming in the last year because that's where my core content has been. But there are still a few people that are interested in those streams, and I really appreciate your enthusiasm. I really do. I also appreciate the few people who have been messaging me and emailing me when I miss a stream on a Wednesday, when I miss going to the stream on a Wednesday. Oftentimes when I miss those streams, it's because a client had a thing I had to do, or I was on a call and it just 2 o'clock went by, or the 1 o'clock or whatever the time is went by, and I was just like, shoot, I'm already halfway through it. I can't do it today. And one time I was actually on a video shoot, and I wasn't even home during that time because I got a last minute project, and I was like, yeah, I could totally do that, and I just wasn't home. This is what happens with my own projects when I work for myself and work on doing things for myself. This is what happens is I always replace my own time with somebody else's time. I always replace doing things for myself for doing things for somebody else. It's just the way it happens. So I really appreciate your enthusiasm, and I encourage you to keep messaging me. I encourage you to keep reminding me and keep getting me on it, because that pressure is what I need to continue to do my own thing. Unfortunately, I'm just saying for anyone who is interested in that, unfortunately, there will not be a stream tomorrow for WordPress Wednesdays. I have already scheduled something in place of it. But I do plan on one for next week. Consistency in scheduling is always something I've struggled with on YouTube, and that struggle will likely continue to be real for the foreseeable future. What I'll do, though, is attempt to be more transparent and to try to be more upfront with notifying and communicating people at the time. So to that end, please make sure that you're following Facebook and Twitter. It's /Charlie Pryor on both networks, and I'll update those locations regularly on WordPress for WordPress Wednesdays. Okay. Finally, I say finally as if it's almost done. I do have some things left to do. I told you this is a long update, but I'm really happy that you guys are still here and engaging with me, and that's cool. And I'm totally going to get to your questions and all your comments very soon. Finally, I'd like to talk about the future content at Hot Tips. Right? The future, right? Everyone's prepared for the future. Go for the future. I currently have a really huge list of titles that I've been asked about, recommended, suggested, given by some publishers in some instances. And in some cases, I've even been begged to play some certain things. Some of the games on the list are repeats of things I've done in the past, like reboots, like another Prison Architect series, for example. Another RimWorld series, for example. Some were successful, some not so much, like some of the things in the past, right? I've assembled the most popular portions of this list in the straw poll link, the first straw poll number 1 in the description of the stream. Really encourage everyone, especially those who are just joining that weren't here the first time I said it. I encourage you to check out the link in the description, the straw poll number 1. That has the most requested stuff. And I also threw Tower 57 into the list myself because I thought it was really interesting during the live stream for Gamers for Orcas. And I was like, I'm going to throw that in there and see if anyone bites. I also missed one option in there. I don't think it would have gotten a ton of views, but I also missed one that's in there. My bad. Leave a comment in Discord or something if you're into that. But I didn't put The Long Dark in the list. That was something that was recommended to me a couple of times. It was recommended to me more so than some of the other things that are on the list. So I don't know why I overlooked that. I just did. Anyway, like I said, I have a huge list of things I want to do. Okay, huge list, and I can't do them all. So I ask that you please limit the choices you make in the straw poll. Limit that to 5 choices. I can't stop you from putting in more. I can't stop you from making 6 choices or 7 choices or selecting them all and skewing the results. And if you're going to select them all, you might as well not select any at all. But because it's net neutral, okay, you're basically hitting the one you want and all of its competitors, whatever. But limit yourself to 5 if you can. The impact of this poll, admittedly, is pretty minor in terms of what I ultimately choose to do or put the time into, but it will allow me to get a good sentiment and get a good reading as to what people are into, right? The gaming choices in this list are not necessarily literal, okay? They're not necessarily literal. What I mean by that is there might be games in this list that weren't specifically requested, but are like a genre of game for which if someone is interested in that game, I know that there might be people who are interested in that type of game, right? And I can sort of gauge the feeling on that. So it's not necessarily literal. A lot of them are literal, but not necessarily literal. That will allow me to gauge sort of what you guys are into. There's also an option for other there as well, which means you have a suggestion. So you can leave that in the comment field below the poll or in the game suggestions channel of the Discord. Discord link in the description. If it's not already there, don't try to double post things. I usually clean that channel up, but I just haven't. I've been slacking huge. And it's to the point now where the bot won't clear it for me. So I would have to go through and clear them one at a time, and I just haven't done it yet. So probably what I'll do is what I did last time. I'll just copy the text to the top post, wipe the channel, and start a new channel. It's probably what I'll do like I did last time. I also do not own all of the games on that list, and I'll probably favor titles that I do own over the ones that I don't own if they're like close, tie, whatever. Anyway, as I said earlier, I've made some mistakes over the last year, and one of my major mistakes was taking too many projects at once. When I launched the Patreon campaign more than half a year ago, I said in my campaign goals that I was going to be limited in how many titles I could play at once until certain tiers were met. I really thought about that long and hard. Before I made that Patreon campaign, I thought about this. What can I afford? What kind of timing can I commit under my certain, like, my budgetary limitations, right? What can I afford given a certain amount of income? And I thought about that. I made the goals. I made the tiers. And then I would just proceed to play more games anyways. Like, I basically took my schedule that I carefully thought about and then said, nah, I don't need to stick to that plan. I just went ahead and did everything I wanted to do. It's obvious now that I cannot handle that. I cannot handle that schedule. I have a habit of not sticking to the plan, and that's going to change today. So starting now, of course, it's kind of weird because there are three series existing now, but starting now, I'm going to stick to those Patreon goals because I thought about that a while, and I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to be having a maximum of 2 simultaneous on-demand productions happening at once in the near future until my work and income support the ability to have more. So 2 at the very most. 2 is the maximum now, okay? For those of you that know me a little bit better than the rest, you're probably aware that I want to build this channel to be something that I can do full-time eventually. And this is part of that goal. As fun as it is, I need to treat the channel like a business. I need to treat this channel in that I do not want to find myself expanding too quickly or growing too quickly, right? You don't want to do that in a business either. You want to make sure that you can handle every tier you get like a champion. You don't want to explode and go bigger than you actually are. And that was my mistake. I'm trying to be bigger than I am. So punch myself in the face a little bit and say, hey, I know you want to do that. It's really, really tempting. Don't. That's what I need to do. So I'll be stopping that now. So as soon as one of the current series are complete, so let's say, hypothetically speaking, let's say people vote on it or people are looking at things or the viewer statistics on the XCOM 2 series aren't there and I decide to end it. Under that hypothetical, okay, nothing new will be replacing XCOM. I simply won't replace it with anything. Once 2 out of the 3 series are complete, which most likely, 99% likeliness, will be Mass Effect before KSP. Once 2 out of the 3 are completed, then something else will take that one's place, okay? My hope is that this leads to more concentrated content. More importantly, that it leads to simplicity, that I can produce higher quantities of videos and can continue to follow with regular updates by limiting what I'm working on to less titles. I think that's going to be much more healthy. Instead of having it the way it is now, where it's like 1 or 2 videos per week in a series, it should be more regular if I can focus on that, right? The problem with trying to do too many things at once is that you often don't end up doing any of them well. series like Conquering Kerbal Space Program have taken a hit in update frequency, but in my opinion, they've also taken a hit in quality because of the split focus. Despite my best efforts to not have that be the case, it totally is. So I'm hoping that this self-restriction will help me with that. Now, actually, like I said before, I consider my on-demand series to be separate from live streaming. Doing things live has great advantages, and I want to grow this part of my channel as well. And the best thing I like about live is that it has interaction with people. And I know, I'm not interacting with your chat. I see it. It's going nuts. I will get to it. I totally will. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, I will absolutely be answering your questions at the end of the stream, okay? So if you have questions, you can ask them in a few minutes, okay? Let me get through my bullet points, damn you. But the best thing I like about live is interaction with people. And another thing I like about live is that there's no editing time afterwards, right? Like, it means that videos can be produced in far less time, like less than half of the time that it would normally take to produce, because I don't have to edit them. I'm not going to be doing Conquering Kerbal Space Program live. That's another question I've had answered, and I have had asked. I'm not going to do it. I will not be doing Conquering Kerbal Space Program live because I feel that the series deserves the editing. I feel like the series deserves that greater quality and the viewing experience that comes from a high bitrate edited video. I'm still planning to do brainstorming streams live, and I'm considering like when I'm looking at tinkering with ideas and things. But that also depends on availability and time as well. Every time I turn the streamer on, my workflow slows down for that session because I'm now less efficient. Because if you live stream yourself or if you record yourself, everyone who does this knows that when you are running a recording or when you're doing a live stream, your brain is split. Your focus is split. You're constantly worried about what's the live chat saying. What's the screen over there? Is my bitrate good? Am I dropping frames? There are things that you're constantly having to check. And I don't want that to affect Kerbal Space Program at all. I want to make sure that anything that happens with the missions is not at the fault of me doing it live like that. I think a lot of the problems that happened with my Starness mission also happened because I was doing it live, but I felt like I had to rush. Like, oh man, the stream is getting long. I need to hurry. I don't want that to happen with Conquering KSP, so I'm not going to do it live. But what can I do live, right? What can I do live? Well, Gwent is a new favorite thing of mine is Gwent. And that's almost always going to be live. And that has actually accelerated the growth of my subscriber numbers as well as view time. Ever since I started streaming Gwent, average daily subscribers has jumped 70%. Ever since I started streaming Gwent. It goes up and down. It has an average. Oftentimes, maybe I'll get 30 or 40 subscribers in a day. Sometimes I'll get 10. But it's been accelerating. It's been increased ever since Gwent started, which is pretty good. It helps that I have a decently high MMR and I'm playing at a decently high level of play. But at the same time, it also helps because it's a brand new game. It's open beta. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to grow in popularity. And if I can get better at it and introduce more people to the game, then I'll have an audience centered around that game too, which is what I want. Diversity, right? In my analytics, I find that the Skyrim series that was going on before, right? It actually did okay with live streams. It did okay. There were lots of live streams where there was maybe 10 people watching, but that's not really any different than any of my other streams. Not really. And a lot of times they were pretty long streams and people would come and they would go. For the most part, they did okay live. But they did devastatingly poor with on-demand edits. And that's despite the fact that my on-demand edits were published at 1440p resolution at 60 frames per second. That's like the highest quality possible for YouTube in Skyrim. Like nobody is publishing. Nobody is making a Skyrim Let's Play at 1440p 60. Nobody. Especially with all the visual mods that was going on and the enhanced graphics all set up at Ultra, G-Sync active. Like nobody's doing that. I was. So it was not the video quality and the audio quality. That was not the reason why Skyrim was unsuccessful. The reason for this, likely, I think, is because Skyrim has been played to death already. People already know what's going on with Skyrim. And even if you add a mod pack, it's not really enough to get people to go, oh, I'm going to watch that. It's not. Especially as a live stream where it's a long period of time. People don't know when you're going to get where you're going to get. You have to differentiate it. You have to make it different. You have to make it unique. You have to make it something that people want to grab onto for your channel and not some other content. And that's why I tried to do the democracy part of it. I tried to do the democracy part of it to get people engaged, get people involved, and it worked for the live streams, but it doesn't work for on demand because now on demand, they don't have a say. They're just watching what other people had to say. And that was kind of the problem. Another problem I had with Skyrim was also connectivity issues. I was a little new to live streaming at higher bit rates, and it was like, how do I keep the stability up? How do I tweak my settings to where it's going to be better? I actually started streaming in 720p for live because I felt it would going to give me more stability. So it wasn't there. The video did not fail because of lack of quality. It lacked in other ways, like connecting with an audience and making them care. Why do they care, right? This is not my character. I have a say, but like he didn't do what I wanted. You know, nobody connected to the character very well. It was a good idea on paper. It did not get executed well. I still think that to this day, AAA titles do not do well on small channels like mine. I still think they don't. AAA titles do not do well largely because of how smaller channels like mine deliver them. I think the delivery is the reason why they don't do well on smaller channels. And what I mean by that is we cannot keep up with the pace well enough to get people to connect to the story. We cannot keep up with the pace that larger channels can. Think about Mass Effect, for example, or think about any RPG, right? If I go and release a video every day, you can keep up with the story. You can enact with the characters. You can get in tune with those decisions. But if I go and do one video a week, you're going to start forgetting what happened, right? Your brain's not going to really remember all the different things, all the intricacies of the stories and the characters and all that stuff development. I can't keep you engaged with that type of delivery. And so what ends up happening, especially with an RPG, which is pretty much the same no matter what channel you're looking at, what ends up happening is people go, well, you know, this guy is pretty fun. I like watching him, but I want to know what happens next, and he's not releasing it. But this guy over here with 1 million subscribers, he's already done. He's played through it already, so I can just watch his series and I'll learn everything I need to know. And that's what happens. I think that is why AAA titles, especially RPGs, do not do well on smaller channels. At least I think that's one of several reasons. But I think in the case of Skyrim, it's just because it's been played to death already. And anyone who's really into Skyrim has already modded it a lot, and like nothing really there to get them to stay, right? I think that's what it was. And I think that's what happened with XCOM as well. I think XCOM was doing really well, and then it just kind of slipped, and people didn't really continue to watch it because of that lapse in uploads. And in addition to that, XCOM, kind of another problem I'm having, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of like playing Andromeda a little bit more than I like playing XCOM right now, is because, especially with the Long War II mod added, Long War II becomes very repetitive, becomes very same, right? You're working toward an overall goal and objective, but it just gets repetitive. You start seeing the same objects, the same maps, the same enemies. Every mission is different. Every mission is a unique challenge, and every mission requires special brain power to solve. It's always a different puzzle, and I do like that part. But for the viewer, it's different than for the player, I think. And so if you had it at like legendary difficulty, right, like Xavier does, if you have it at legendary difficulty, well, then it's a little different to watch it, because now it's like, okay, he's playing at the hardest possible difficulty, so can he do it, right? How is he going to get out of this one? This is crazy. I never have this many enemies when I play, because I don't play at that difficulty. This is nuts. That's when it becomes more challenging. That's when it becomes more interesting for the viewer. But at mine, the way I'm doing it, it's not. So there's a lot of reasons why series fail. And you can only really know that after you take a step back, and that's kind of what I've been trying to do. So anyway, long story short, too late. I need to choose what types of content go where and when, and I need to choose how to deliver each type of content to best fit a genre and to best fit viewers' needs. And that's just something that's going to take time over time. Like, it's going to take time over time, effort over time, knowledge over time, learning over time, right? Experience. It's going to take that. So I'm going to be running, in the next couple of months, I'm going to be running some experiments. I'm not going to tell you that they're experiments when I do them. if you're looking for an experiment, you might figure it out because it's, ooh, this is weird, this is different. But I'm going to be running some experiments in the next few months to see if I can throw out a few hooks, right? Just maybe like think of it as fishing, right? But I'm not going to do that until I'm down to 2 series, okay? So maximum 2 live stream series, maximum maximum 2 video on demand series, maximum 2 live stream series, and I'm counting Gwent as one of the series because it's not really a series. I just play Gwent, and when I play Gwent, I turn the streamer on. But the other one will be another series, and it will be a live series. So I'm keeping them separate, but they're going to be 2 and 2. I keep them separate because one takes significantly less time than the other, and that's the way I want to keep it. Which brings me to my final point. He's done? Are you kidding? He's finally done? Yeah, he's done. I think he's done. Which brings me to my final point here before I look at the chat and see if there are any other questions to answer. And that has to do with experimentation before commitment. I think that when I start a new series, whenever that happens, each time I do so, publishing a video will not be a full commitment to continue it. When I started every series I've started so far, every time I've published an episode 1 so far to date, it has always been, in my mind, full commitment. I'm going to go through this whole game. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm not going to fully commit to a game and continue it. The first 5 episodes of any series should be considered a beta or a trial for that series. If the first 5, I'm not going to do the first 1 or the first 2 because those are always, like I said, high energy, right? I want to see the energy. I want to see how much it's dropping. Because a series that's going to drop, it's going to stay dropped, it's probably going to start dropping after episode 2 or 3. So I should start to see something definitive. And it's going to happen anyway, but how extreme is it, right? That's the thing. If the first 5 episodes are doing well, I'm not seeing overly significant drops in interest from the first 5, I'll continue to do another 5. I'll commit to do another 5. And at that point, if I get to episode 10 and it still looks like it's going strong, at that point, I'll have a full commitment to do it from there. I'm not going to tell you that I'm doing a trial when I make the episode. I'm not going to express this anywhere in text. This is probably the only time you will ever hear me saying that that's my plan. But in my head and in my overarching plan and my overarching goal for that series, that's what I'm going to be doing. There's going to be a trial period in the beginning that's sort of testing the water to see if people like this. And if they don't, I'll just scrap it and I'll go on to something else and try another experiment. I think that's the better way to go. So my hope is that by doing that, I don't go 82 episodes into a series with declining numbers, hitting massive opportunity costs relative to what I could be doing instead, and instead I get something that might engage with the audience a little bit better, maybe. My theory right now is that indie games, and really just games that demand and test creativity, work really well for this channel for on-demand content. Prison Architect, creative game, requires some problem solving, requires creativity, make something a little different, kind of open sandboxy, open world kind of thingy, do what you want. That worked really well. RimWorld, same thing, did really well. We failed, we died, but it did okay while it was there. Kerbal Space Program, self-explanatory, doesn't get much more open university world than that does in terms of creativity and doing whatever you want to do. Those types of games are doing really well on this channel, and I'm going to be looking for opportunities to continue those and other types of games that are fitting around that genre that I can do something unique with. Again, I don't want to do things that are the same as what everyone else is doing. I want to have something that's unique. I want to do something different than someone else. If I can find an opportunity to do that, I will. If it's a blind playthrough, I don't expect to do that. I expect to just experience it the way it is. But if it is something that I've played before and I have experience with, I'm going to try to mix it up and do it as diverse as I can. And then for streaming, well, maybe this is where the RPG crowd lies. Maybe streams is where the RPG crowd can live, I don't know. Maybe in live streams, RPGs can find a home here. I don't know. But that's what experimentation is all about, and that's what I'm going to be exploring, amongst some other things, in the coming months. Tentative plans for live streams. And again, this is coming months, so it's kind of needs, one of the series need to be done before I commit to this. But tentative plans include Fallout 4 and The Witcher 2 and 3. It's possible that the live series here will also take place on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously because my Twitch following is still pretty small, and I don't really know if there's a whole lot of opportunity there right now to do that exclusive to Twitch. Twitch, because I'm not a partner at Twitch, there's also technological limitations that happen at Twitch to where you can't view things in the quality that you want. So you're stuck viewing your videos as the source quality, which for me is 1080p 60. So if you have a weak internet connection, it doesn't work that well. Like if you have a weak internet connection, it is what it is. So I'll probably, if I do the live series like that, I probably will do it on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously just to give people that option until I have a bigger following on Twitch. But there are also some other games, actually, that I tried in the Gamers for Orcas stream that I thought was interesting. I put Tower 57 in the list because I thought it was interesting at the time. But again, your feedback and my schedule will tell more about what I can and or should do in time. So if you haven't looked at the straw poll in the description, if you're just joining us in the stream, link in the description down below. At least do straw poll number 1. If you want to interact with straw poll number 2 as well, you totally can. But please do so at your convenience. It will really help me out. I just want to get the sentiment and feedback for it. The links will open in a new tab. Only take a couple of seconds of your time, and like it won't disrupt anything. So I want to thank everyone who attends of the live stream. I want to thank everyone who watches this. If you watch this all the way through, thank you for doing that. I don't know if this state of the channel address like this format works for everyone. I kind of did this in the format of a press conference this time, and I think it worked out pretty well. It might be a little longer than I anticipated it was going to be, but I actually thought this was going to take 45 minutes. Charlie, take under an hour? Preposterous. So anyway, I'm going to be looking at the comments now to see if there are any questions. And as per usual, I will not be answering any questions pertaining to when will blank be released? When will this next video of this series be released? I never know the answers to that. And even if I did know the answers to that, I'm not going to answer it just so that people don't think I know the answers to that. I'm not a full-time person. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. So, releases happen when they happen. If I was full-time, I'd probably tell you, yeah, I'll have it tomorrow. Because I can totally budget that because I'm gaming all the time, and I'm making content for YouTube all the time. That is the eventual goal. I'm nowhere near that yet. Nowhere near that yet. So, anyway, let's see. Are there any questions in the comments? I would like to know. I would like to answer those the best I can. I'm going to scroll up a little bit here. I'm going to read. I'm going to try to do it in the order that they might have appeared. But if you're just now leaving the questions, then cool. I'll eventually get to them. But I'm just going to scroll through the comments here now. The update, for all intents and purposes, is over. Unless you have questions or you want to hear the questions of other people and you want to hear answers, in which case, then stick around. It'll be really great. Let's see. What other things do we have? There's an audio sync problem. I blame that on the encoder. Honestly, I blame that on OBS. And honestly, I'll blame it on my webcam too, because my voice is likely a little bit ahead of my mouth. There's not much I can do about that either. It's just, I don't know. It's fine. Let's see. What do we have here? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Post the bundle in the link. So you did stuff. Nice. Straw poll is there. Yep. Let me check out the straw poll really quick. Has anyone actually answered this yet? I've looked at answers briefly this morning. So I don't know if there's any other ones that are more than this morning. Okay, we have 116 answers. Nice. As expected, Kerbal Space Program is at the top. I thought that would be the case. Gwent is in second. Cool. I like the enthusiasm. Yeah, Gwent. We have some other ones that are fairly high up the list too. Okay, cool. I'm just going to keep an eye on that too. So do the straw poll if you haven't done it already. Do that. Let's see. I'd rather watch XCOM, but to comment on it is not easy because what is there to say when you don't know how to play properly and there isn't much to talk about during the episode? There you go. It's not engaging. It's not a content that engages people. That's what I'm talking about. It's hard to talk about something if A, you don't know what's going on, and B, when you're more worried about the mission being completed and everybody coming home. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. We're going to go down the comments here. XCOM, reboot it with the new DLC. You can end XCOM and reboot it with the new DLC. Like I said, it's it's still the same XCOM. It's still the same series. I don't know how I would make it any different. Let's see. KSP is slow when I play it on every channel that I see. Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those games that not a whole lot of channels will do because it takes forever to make an episode. So you have to have good returns on that. The channels that do play KSP are often just completely dedicated to it. Either that or their release schedule is just as infrequent as mine. Like Scott Manley, for example, he's a really busy guy, and he still manages, I think, to produce content fairly regularly, but a lot of his videos aren't necessarily KSP. They're other things too, which are fine. Totally fine. But then there's other people like Matt Lone, for example, or I don't remember his name, Shadow Zone, I think, who basically just do nothing but KSP. That their entire channel is KSP. And that's kind of what you have to do. If you're going to dedicate to KSP on a long-term basis, you kind of have to be dedicated to that and only that. And I wanted to test that theory. I wanted to test that limitation and see whether or not that's true, whether or not I actually did need to do it that way. So that's what I'm kind of trying to do right now. Let's take out the comments here. I'm going to move these windows around so I can kind of look at it more straight. Let's see. What do we got here? It's only 99 cents. Charlie, are you going to make me buy you Silent Storm? I have no idea what Silent Storm is. So the answer to your question is no, I'm not going to make you buy Silent Storm. But I have no idea what that is. I can look it up. I know how to Google. I can look it up, but I'm not. So let's see. What other questions do we have here? Talking about EA. Dude, if you guys didn't see EA, Nintendo freaking killed it, man. Nintendo did. I need to go back and look at most of it, but like Nintendo killed it. Switch is good. I like the Switch. I don't have it, but I like the Switch. I like what they're doing with the Switch. I really do. They're doing all sorts of cool stuff. Let's see. It was the only series that you watched. Are you talking about Skyrim? Yeah, probably. You tried to play Gwent but didn't like it. Looking at you playing it. Yeah, well. I've been really into Gwent even before I had access to it, so I kind of have a thing in my head. Plus, I've played all of the Witcher games already before. Only once through, and I never did any of the DLC. But I know most of the characters. Like, most of the people, I know the characters. And so, like, I can look at characters in there and say, that's this person, that's this person. And I can, like, relay that as to who it is and relative to who and all that stuff. So, which is why Foglets should totally be immune to fog damage. And the Wild Hunt riders and the Wild Hunt itself should be completely immune to frost. But that would be lore friendly, and it would be appropriate to the lore, but it would be terrible for gameplay because everyone would just be monsters because they're immune to frost. But what you could do is you could say, like, you know, fog now affects the Wild Hunt double. So, like, fog is twice as effective against the Wild Hunt, but they're immune to frost. And for Foglets, you know, they're immune to frog. They're immune to frog. They're immune to fog, but frost hits them for twice as much. And you could do something like that, or like rain will kill them. You know, they can't touch rain, but they'll touch fog. That's weird, but you could do something like that if you wanted. But yeah, I get it though. Let's see. You heard Twitch. Yes, I want to grow Twitch. I really want to go. I want to grow Twitch. I want to be awesome. Also, you never played Witcher 2, so that'd be cool. I really do actually want to play The Witcher. I want to play through it again. I loved the characters. I thought it was really great. And I've already played through it once. But what I would probably do is similar to what I did with the XCOM series, is I would have an episode 0 that would go over the story for game number 1. And your decisions from game number 1 carry over to game number 2, and then that carries over to game number 3. And so I would probably give a summary of what happened in the story for game 1 based on the decisions that I made, right? And that's how I would probably structure the update. It would take a long time to create that update video, but I would totally do it if I was going to commit to a series if I was going to commit to a stream series with The Witcher, I would totally do that. I would take the time to do that. That's in the list, by the way. That's in the straw poll down below the video. It's one of the options you can select if you want to see it. Let's see. Charlie knows how to Google. I do. Yeah. Right now it's Q&A. Do I know a second language? So it says my brother says I know some Vietnamese. It's actually more accurate to say that I know some Spanish and very little Vietnamese. I know much more Spanish than I know Vietnamese, but I eventually hope to be fluent in both of those. So I eventually hope to be fluent in 3 languages at least. I eventually will need to be fluent in Vietnamese. Otherwise, my wife and my kid will just talk around me and I won't know what they're saying, which is kind of already starting to happen, honestly. He's learning words way faster than I can. So I kind of need to get on that. Might need to segment off a little bit of my time to learn Vietnamese too, but because my wife is Vietnamese. But eventually I hope to be fluent in all of those languages. So if I was going to do The Witcher, you might get demonetized. Why would I get demonetized? Wait. Gwent is Charlie playing tonight. I plan to play some Gwent tonight. Yeah, I'll play some Gwent tonight too. I need to play as much as possible while this 5 days after the patch. The patch dropped today, so I need to play as much as I can in the next 5 days so that I can mill things for the most possible value during this time. So I definitely am going to be playing a lot of Gwent in the next 5 days. At minimum 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day minimum. I'm going to get my 42 rounds every day. My 42 rounds win. There's leveling goals. If you're not familiar with Gwent, just check out one of my previous live streams. But there's goals. Every time you level up or you win a certain number of rounds per day, you get rewards per day. Gwent is a super generous game. It is probably the only card game I know of right now that is not pay to win. It's the only one I know of right now that's not pay to win. Hearthstone has nothing on Gwent. That's why I said during the course of this discussion today and during the course of this address today that I'm so confident that Gwent will overtake Hearthstone as the most popular card game on the internet. I'm very sure of it. It'll take maybe a year. Certainly, it will take till it's full release. It's beta right now, so everything keeps changing. But balance changes and things. But once it's ironed out, once it's fine tuned, and they get the features worked out, the bugs worked out, when it's not beta anymore, they start getting competitions. There'll be esports around it. There'll be you'll see those big live cast tournaments like you do already on Twitch. It's gonna happen. It's absolutely gonna happen. It's gonna be amazing. I know it. You're giving me the Scott Manley hello. I don't have the accent. I'd try it, but it would just be an insult to him. I don't have the accent. Absolutely barbaric. Let's see. While you were talking about Gwent, I just got a free redeem of it from Xbox. Nice. It's free. It's a free-to-play game, so if you get Gwent for free, you don't think you're getting a great deal. You're getting it like everyone else's deal, because it's a free-to-play game. So, let's see what else we have here in the comments. If I get to the bottom of the comments and I don't have anything else to talk about, then I'm ending the stream. That's the rules. So, super chat in here. Have you thought of using super chat on here? I do. Super Chat's been active since they acted it on my account. Super Chat is totally a thing. It's not something I ever advertise, not something I ever say, hey, go do the Super Chat, guys. I don't do that. But I mean, when I do live stream some things, I do have like a Super Chat donations area on my Stream HUD, which does sort of keep people's names there and say thank you to people who do use it. But it's active, but I don't do anything with it. So if you choose to use it, thank you, awesome. But I'm never going to require it, or never really even going to vocally say anything about it. So, the stream will, things will pop up and it'll do things for you, but like that's it. Have I read the Witcher books? No, I have not read the Witcher books. I'm sure the books have many things in there that the games do not have, but I have not read the books. Okay. Oh, now you guys are talking about the Super Chat thing. Well, see, eventually I'll get down to the bottom of these comments. Let's see. Super Chat, blah, blah, blah. I'm just reading it. Do you play any RuneScape? So I actually still have a RuneScape account from way back in the day. I don't think I've logged in like 1,000 days. But I still have one from way, way back in the day. My username was MageMan19. Because I was 19 years old. And when I made the account. No, I was younger than that when I made the account. I'm not sure why I chose... Oh, I chose 19 because of Steve Yzerman. Because I was big Red Wings fans at my house. And Steve Yzerman was 19 as my favorite player. And I made MageMan19. I was like freaking 7th grade, I think, when I started RuneScape. That would have been 15 years ago, I think. So, but I still have my account. I think the character's like level 65 or something. Is got like rune crafting maxed out or something. I don't know. It's a thing. I was a member for a little while. It's a thing. I had it. I still have it. I even know the password, I think, but I just haven't logged in forever. Nintendo doesn't like... Oh, I get it. Nintendo doesn't like me talking about Nintendo. As long as I don't show any of their content, it should be fine. Yeah. Boobies for The Witcher. Yeah, so if I did play The Witcher, I probably need to do it as a live series. And I probably need to do it on Twitch. I don't know how that would work, because Twitch allows nudity. Sorry. Twitch allows nudity in games as long as it's not the primary focus of the game. So in terms of The Witcher, it would be totally acceptable on Twitch. But on YouTube, it would probably get demonetized. So I'm not sure how I would handle a Witcher series if I did it, because there definitely are... That definitely does exist in the game several times throughout each game. So I don't know exactly how I would handle that. But, you know, whatever. If I'm having fun, I don't care. Demonetize me then. Do it. I don't care. Magic the Gathering is the best card game ever. I would agree with that to an extent. I would say that it's the best, like, real life card game ever, like, to play in person. But I don't like it on the computer. I don't. I like Gwent. I think Gwent beats it. If they were able to make Gwent into a real life card game, I would play Gwent over Magic in real life as well. I still like Gwent more. I just do. And that's coming from a person who's been playing Magic for a while. Let's see. How about D&D, Charlie and Pet? Dungeons and Dragons, have never played it, and I've been pestered a lot about it. I have. I got to be honest, I don't have a ton of interest in it. I don't. I mean, I'm sure it's something that I'd have to really experience to know the full value of in terms of like how fun it is and to fully understand how it all works and stuff, but as it is right now, with having zero experience with it, it just doesn't look that interesting to me. Like right now, it just doesn't. But I'm open to trying it. I'm still open to trying it. It's just gonna have to be something that fits within the confines of the time I have available. Let's see. I'm not even gonna respond to that comment, Elias. Oh my God! Shower with your dad's simulator? No, no. A live stream of D&D with friends would be interesting. Well, you see, my brother knows what it's all about. My brother likes it. Like I said, I don't have hardly any experience with it, so it'd be something I'd have to experience before I'd give it a shot. So that takes care of the D&D line of questioning, I think. If you thought about doing Pathfinder or 40K RP or something, none of that stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. Have you tried Transport Fever? So I've seen Transport Fever. I see like one person I really sort of admire, and I it sounds weird to say this because I'm definitely older than he is, but he's got more experience doing this, and he does a really good job. Does a really thorough job on these types of games, and that's Skystorm. Skystorm's been playing a lot of Transport Fever, and I did enjoy his series. His first series that he did, I enjoyed it. I haven't really watched his... I'm one of his patrons, and I barely ever watch his videos. I just love what he's doing, and I think he's good at it, and I wanted to help support him. But it's like... I don't know. It looks like a cool game. I might give it a try if I had the opportunity to do so, but it's not a game I'm going out of my way to go grab, because I've seen a lot of it already, and... I don't know. It to me, I feel like the time invested in Transport Fever, I guess if there's interest in it, yeah, I would consider doing it. Sure. It's not on the list. It's the first time I've actually heard someone say it to me. So I didn't put it on the list or anything, but I'd be open to it in the future. I can add it to the list, you know. Let's see what else we got here. More dog pictures wanted and requested. Certain animal. Yeah. Your gaming room is a bit bland. Well, it's not done yet, okay? It's not done yet. And I have a lot to do here, okay? So I'm sorry. If I could, I'd rather have the green screen right behind me, and then you guys could just see my face with nothing behind me. That would probably be better, but I don't have that ability either because this desk is a U-shaped desk. So putting something behind me would actually be quite difficult. Unless I hang it from the ceiling. Might be an option. I'll look into it in the future. What else do we have here? Let's see. A whole 4 minutes. Yeah, Kate's triggered. Almost 1/20th of an hour. I don't know what that means. What's my excuse this time? What are you talking about? Because I was late? 4 minutes? I don't have an excuse. My only excuse I would be is that my computer was acting weird. And it was. I had to restart it. Between the Gwent stream and this one, I had to restart it. My mouse was moving and jittering all over the place, and my monitor refresh rate was crazy weird, and I did restart my computer, but I can't use that as an excuse. It just, whatever. I think that's all of it then, huh? All the questions? Have I tried the Escapists? No, but I own it. I just haven't tried it yet. It's really old, isn't it? It just looks old. It looks like it's like 8-bit old Nintendo old, and I can't play it full screen and enjoy it because I'm okay with pixel art, but that's not necessarily pixel art. It's a little bit too old looking, I think, for me. I do have to have some sort of an enjoyment when I play something, and that's, I don't know. I've booted it up, and the window is like super small on my monitor, and I can't make it full screen and still enjoy it. I don't know. It's something that I have it, but unless there's a lot of interest in it, I'm probably not gonna play it. Where are my glasses? Right here. There. I got my glasses on. I started with the glasses, but like I said, the glasses after a while they start to like itch my nose, and I start to like move my nose around. So after a while, I got to do it. Let's see. There's like 50 yells, making sure. Okay, so looks like that's all the comments for today. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, it's been fun. Thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it. I will see you guys next time. I need a top hat and a monocle. Yeah, no. Okay. Take it easy, guys. Bye.